very, very different ideas out there about what a Messiah is. A lot of very different opinions about what a Messiah is, man. I mean, if you talk to people that are into the old Roman religions and whatnot, they're going to tell you, hey, that's all that Nero stuff, man. That's what they're going to tell you.
So wouldn't the answer would be, so wouldn't, maybe the rabbi has a different opinion on this, but wouldn't we want to try to find out what the original people who came up with the concept, what they thought a Messiah was?
The whole notion of a Messiah is a developed idea. Now, as Jews, our source material is the 5 books of Moses. Now, nowhere in the 5 books of Moses does it mention the idea of a Messiah. There are many developed ideas that we have in Judaism that many people ran with and fail to question or ask, where did it come from? The Messiah is one. Resurrection of the dead is another one. Hell is another one. Heaven is another one. All these things don't appear in the 5 books of Moses. So instead of respecting or tolerating everyone's view on what the Messiah is or isn't, let's go back and realize that it doesn't appear in source material.
So we can't. So I guess to be honest with ourselves, the answer is everyone's opinion of what the Messiah is true, because there's not real one definitive answer.
Correct. It seems to be like an optional belief that people ran with. And then, you can blame Christians for making this Messiah into God himself, because Jews have over-embellished the idea. Now, it's a man who doesn't die who comes in the clouds. That sounds like some sort of deity to me.
Yeah, but Rabbi, everybody's guilty of that. I mean, even in pagan religions, they want to deify these people. It's prevalent everywhere. It's not just the Christians. It's not even the Jews or the Muslims, but it's the pagans as well. Everybody got that one wrong, because everybody's guilty of deifying individuals or entities that should not be deified. Everybody's guilty of that. Nobody gets away from that one.
We're unlike any other group because we have source material. What we believe can either be validated or basically thrown away if it doesn't align itself with that book. Of course, the nations are going to deify whoever they're going to deify. I've always considered dualism a form of polytheism. There's really 2 forms of polytheism. Worshipping more than one God is one thing, and believing in more than one God is another thing. To say that someone believes in an evil entity that in some way fights against God is a form of what they call dualism, but anything more than one is a form of polytheism. Torah doesn't present God in the plural, although I do believe that monotheism in itself is a later developed idea. Not that the early Hebrews believed in more than one God, but it, as a tenet of the Jewish religion, it's
one of the foundation beliefs, yeah.
But
now because of Kabbalah and stuff like that, didn't they come out of paganism as well as like everybody else, or not?
It was definitely influenced. Kabbalah arose in the 13th century, and it didn't come from Torah. It came from outside influences, mainly Eastern religions. Judaism, because of Kabbalah, has adopted the notion of reincarnation. Now, nowhere in the Bible does it speak about reincarnation. That's an example of Eastern religions influencing Judaism.
Or perhaps Rome wanted to hide all that information, because there's that speculation going around too. I mean, according to some people, 3/4 of the Bible was literally tossed in the trash when they went to canonize it. Now, I don't know if that's true.
From a Christian perspective, not from a Jewish one. Just because the Jews predated Rome and Jews have kept to at least the 5 books of Moses. I mean, no one's going to argue that there's 6 or 7 books or less than 5. In the Christian world, they have something called Apocrypha and the Pseudepigraphas. So these are books that appear in the Catholic Bible but don't appear in the Protestant Bible. So it was Rome themselves who decided what books to put out and what books to keep in. In the Christian section, and even in the Hebrew scriptures outside the 5 books of Moses, for example, in the Catholic Bible, you have the book of Maccabees. Although Jews consider the book of Maccabees, at least the first 2, as authoritative, it's just seen as a history book and not lumped in with the other.
So you think the Jewish people were able to have able to keep their books? I mean, but we have things like the Dead Sea Scrolls. I mean, so the Jewish people aren't, let's say on it. It does seem that at least one time with the Dead Sea Scrolls that the Jewish people have kind of manipulated the books in a way and made their own Hebrew Bibles and stuff.
How?
Well, isn't the Dead Sea Scrolls completely different than the 5 books of Moses and all that? They rewrit it.
No.
Right?
No, the 5 books of Moses appear in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the books of the prophets appear, but there's extra books that appear, like the Book of Jubilees, the Book of Enoch,
right.
that
Oh,
are
it's
Jewish
not a completely
books.
different version of the 5 books. You're saying it's
No,
the
no,
same
no, no.
version.
It's the same version. There's a
No,
difference.
John.
Like, yeah, go ahead.
John, the Dead Sea Scrolls was a shot across the bow towards the Christians, not the Jews.
Oh,
Because
I
the
always had
Christians,
the impression. I was always under the impression that Dead Sea Scroll tablets were completely
no,
different.
absolutely.
Because I kind of looked into like the Book of Joshua a little bit, and it just seemed like that was just a retelling of the Book of Genesis and stuff. Like I just assumed that these people had like a different version or something. I apologize. I don't know too much about it. So
Yeah. I don't think the book of Jasher was in Hebrew. It's Yashar, but Yashar means like just or like straight and upright. So it's like the book of the upright. But that I don't think was in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Although I mean, it's just a bunch of midrashim. There's a lot of books in the Talmud that talks about Ben Sira. There's books that were considered apocryphal that just didn't make it into the canon. There's nothing eye-opening in the Dead Sea Scrolls outside of the book that speaks about who the people think are the Essenes.
JC's tribe.
There's some people who say JC was the Essene. I don't think that's a generally held understanding. Because the Essene were mainly Kohanim. They were priests who didn't reproduce, and they lived out in the desert waiting for the war of the sons of light with the sons of darkness. I mean, also like another dualistic notion. The understanding was that maybe John the Baptist may have been part of this group. That's what some people think. No one really knows. No one.
Nazarenes wouldn't be Essenes, and JC was supposedly a Nazarene. He wouldn't cut his hair. Remember, Samson wouldn't cut his hair, and
A Nazir, yeah, Nazir. Yeah.
Wait.
and Jesus wouldn't cut his hair either.
So Nazarene is different than Nazarite. So Nazarene is understood that he's from a place called Netzrat. The understanding is that maybe John the Baptist took that vow because he said that he wouldn't drink any grape products. Yeah, well, there's hints in the New Testament that he was a Nazarite, or he took the
that way,
Nazarite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now Paul did. Paul, and for sure, was a Nazarite for
I have problems with Paul, but
like at least 30 days. Yeah.
I have problems with Paul, real problems, but that's all right.
I think I'll be honest with you, Vaughn. I think we all have problems with Paul. He's
I'm no longer a Christian, partially due to Paul, but that's no.
We have someone in the comments section, and maybe someone knows about this. Hannibal Barker, he leaves a comment saying the Nazir vow originates with Homer's Odyssey. Is that true? Homer's what the Greek Homer's Odyssey?
Read Homer's Odyssey, really?
Yeah,
I don't know where that would. I don't know where that.
Homer was born in 850 before the Common Era, which is way after the Torah was written. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, the Jews went into exile in 586 of the Common Era. They went to Babylon, right? And they were in Israel for a lot longer than 300 years. I believe they were in Israel for 429 years. Now, the argument can be made that maybe in the Odyssey or the Iliad, I'm not sure what he's referring to, they're quoting an older custom. But in terms of when it was written, so these people, they run with these statements and they think it's true. We don't know. I'd like to see it.
Are there any particular books that you recommend?
I'll tell you what I do. I listen to 2 Torah classes a day, and I do my daily Rambam and my Daf Yomi, and that's it. 2 Torah classes a day. I recommend yutorah.org. I tell people to, if they're going to learn Judaism, listen to classes that are by rabbis for rabbis, right? I mean, not classes that are basically monologues for rabbis to the uneducated, because you're not going to grow, or you may grow at the pace of the slowest person in that class. Equip yourself with the same fountain of knowledge that rabbi is equipping himself with. And yutorah, being that it's the website for Yeshiva University, these are classes that are given for rabbis themselves. The 5 books of Moses, master that, and master Jewish law, which is Mishnah Torah, and that's pretty much it. And the good thing with the online classes is that they're going to keep it fresh, and that you're going to hear things you're not expecting to hear. Now, if you only listen to Mizrahi and Yaron Reuven, it's going to be the same brimstone and
spilling seed
and hell and demons, and so you can't use any of those things in a debate. You can't debate on mystical subjects because they're so subjective. There could be one mystical idea that goes this way and 10 of them that go that way.
It doesn't seem like you can use anything in an argument with these people. Not even the 5 books of Moses and Halacha. I mean, I was in a Facebook group and the guy posts, everyone put tefillin to stop the rocket attacks in Israel, because there was like rocket attacks that was going on the other day, I guess. And this guy was posted, put on tefillin to save lives, and I'm like, and I left a little bit of a snarky comment. I said, why don't you actually do something that actually can help? Stop rocket fires. And the guy goes, well, what do you mean? Putting on tefillah is a mitzvah. I mean, yeah, but like, is it going to stop the rockets hitting people in the head?
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't seem like, Rabbi. I'm sorry, but it doesn't seem like. I hear what you're saying. You're preaching to the choir. I get it. 5 books of Moses, Rambam, Mishnah Torah, Jewish history. Boom, you got it, right? You got all the answers. But these people don't seem to want the answers. They just want the fluff, like you would call it, the fluff. Like, we're going against the fluff. It's difficult.
They want stuff that tickles the ears. Man.
Ear tickling, right? Ear tickling.
Yes.
So, Rabbi, do you have any like kosher remedies for us to? Well, first of all, do you believe that there are? I would love to know if you actually do believe in evil forces.
No, I don't.
You don't actually. Okay.